Alright, now it's time to get working on our code. So I'll be using Flash Builder 4, but you could use other software like Flash Developer, even the Flash IDE. Alright, let's create a new Flash Professional project. And the target file is our FLA file, which is here on our desktop. And let's not use the default location, we're just going to use the desktop. And let's finish. Now we first need to create our document class. Let's create one. So file, new, ActionScript class, and we're just gonna call this one main. The super class is movie clip, and yeah, press finish. Now, just as a small test, let's just do a trace main has started. Alright, and now let's test our Flash project by clicking this icon or pressing Command or Control Enter. It has started up, but we do not see any output. And the reason why is because we need to tell our Flash document that it has a document class. So we need to go to class and just set it to main. Alright, and if we now test it, it says main has started. So now we know our class is working. Now we don't need this trace message, so we can just take it out. The first thing which is going to happen is when you start this game is you're going to see the start menu, which allows you to choose if you want to start playing right away or if you need information, and you'll see the help menu. So the first thing we need is to initialize our start menu. So we're going to call a function init start menu, and that's gonna create a start menu for us. Alright, start menu is a new start menu, and let's add that. Okay, now let's create our start menu class. So file, new, ActionScript class, and its start menu, and its superclass is sprite. Alright, and if we look at our start menu symbol, so that's in menus, and then you got start menu. This is what we had, and we had two buttons. We had a play button and a help button, and we need to tell our start menu class that those two objects are present. To do so, we say that we have some public variable, named play button, which is a menu button, and we have a help button, which is also a menu button. We don't need to say that that's a new menu button. That's just done by our Flash document itself. It will create those menu buttons for us, but we need to put a reference to them so we can interact with them. Yeah, if you'd now test this, so if you'd start it up, init start menu gets called, which creates a start menu. If we're going to test it, we're going to get the following. We see our start menu, but our buttons are just flipping. They don't know what to do. We don't have the right text, and that is because we've created the frames for our menu buttons, but we haven't yet told our menu buttons how to behave, what they need to do. So let's now create our menu button class, and to do so, let's just go back and see how did we create our menu button. So this is our menu button, and we had three frames, namely a up frame, a over frame, and a wow, we forgot to do that, a down frame. Yeah, and we have here this text field which has the instance name label. So now let's create our menu button class. So new class, and menu button, its superclass is movie clip. Alright, and now let's say that there is a label. So public var label, which is a text field, and yes, now the first thing we need to do when our menu button has initialized, we need to set it to go to the up state. So go to and stop up. And we also need to initialize our hover state. So init hover states. Let's create a new function like so. And in this function, we're going to add all the event listeners, which are going to do all the work for our hover state. So add an event listener. And most people would stop right here. This is how they would add an event listener. And you have more parameters to the add event listener method. And I've discussed them in actually my very first tutorial about the event framework. The fifth parameter is very useful. It's use weak reference. If you set that to true, what happens is the event listener gets removed whenever the object that that event listener was attached to is set to null. Basically, that means we can set our menu button to null and all the event listeners will be removed, which saves us a lot of work. So let's set that, but we don't want to change the rest, so let's keep the rest at the default values, namely false, 0, and now the last one we do want to change, we're changing it to true. Alright, just copy this line and paste it still 3 more times, and just change the event and handler, namely we have a mouse over, we have a mouse out, we have a mouse down, and we have a mouse up, and change also the handlers, namely a on mouse out, down, and this one we're setting to over. I'll explain that later. Okay, let's create those functions. So and let's just paste this function 2 more times, like so. And let's just change the name, so on mouse out and on mouse down. Okay. When when our mouse hovers, we want it to go to and stop at the over button state. When we leave, if our mouse goes out, or when it leaves the button, we want it to return back to its idle or up state. And when our mouse is down, we want it to go back to our we want it to go to our down state. And why did I set the mouse up to the mouse? Why didn't I create a unique handler for our mouse up event? That's because if the mouse up event is the moment when your primary mouse button is released, as in when it goes up. And when this happens, your mouse is still over the button. So it doesn't make sense to create a unique handler for on mouse up. You can just set it to use the on mouse over. So that's what I've done. If we'd save this class and test our project again, now our hover states work. So that's good news. However, the text still needs to be set. And to do so, we need to create a function which is going to do that. And we're going to call that function and make sure it's a public function, because we want other classes to be able to set the label's text of the button. Public function set label, which will have one parameter, namely label, and it's going to do the following, namely that the the text of our label text field is equal to that supplied label, string. And now we still need to tell our start menu to set that label. So now we're going to create a new function inside our start menu class named init button labels. Create that function. And just call the method set label, and this one's going to be play, and the other one's going to be help. So and now you see that we have a help and a play and a help button. One more thing, let's set our we don't want our label text field to be selectable, so just let's add that label.selectable is false. That's better. All right. Yeah, now we would want to do something whenever either our play button or our help button gets clicked. So let's add some event listeners. So init events. Let's create that function. Oh, sorry. Let's add those that fifth parameter, namely set it to true. Like so. Weird. We have two errors. Access of undefined property on help click. Oh yeah, of course, we still need to create our event handlers. So let's do that on click. And also our on help click function. No. Yes. All right. Yeah, nothing's changed. Let's just see if those event listeners are working correctly. So let's open up Flash Builder and just trace play and trace help. Seems to work. All right. Now, when we're gonna click play, then the game's gonna start, and we're not gonna create our game in this tutorial. However, we will display the help menu because we've already made that. So when we've clicked our help click, if we've clicked on the help button, we would like to create our help menu. And yes, so let's first go back to our help menu and see how we made that. Okay, so we have here all these objects, and this is the only thing with which we're gonna interact, namely the test. One thing I've forgotten to do is to select these and just to go to modify and break apart, so they're not the movie clips anymore. If they were the movie clips, then they'd still have their classes attached to them and they'd be doing lots of code, which we don't want. So this is better. And what was the instance name of our back button? It was just back button. So yes, let's save that Flash document again. Go back to Flash Builder and let's create our help menu. So new ActionScript class help menu. It extends sprite and tell our class that there is a back button. Yeah. Okay, let's create a function init back button. So init back button. Um, which just adds an event listener to our back button on back click. Okay, let's go to our start menu, and on the help click we're going to create our help menu. So let's create that menu. And we're not going to do that inside our start menu class, we're going to do that inside our main class. Okay, so let's think what's going to happen. You start up that Flash document, you see a start menu, you don't know what's going on, you would like to understand, you click on the help button, and of course the start menu disappears and the help menu appears. That means we need to clean up everything from that start menu. That means the buttons need to be removed. All things inside the buttons need to be removed, and also the start menu itself needs to be removed. So how are we gonna do that? We need to call some function inside our start menu, which is gonna clean up. So the easiest is to create a public function clean up, and that's gonna do several things. Namely, it's first gonna remove our play button. It's gonna remove our help button. It's gonna set those buttons to null. Yeah. And just to see how that's going, let's say that when we click on the help button, we'd like it to clean up. And let's see what's happening. Boom, the buttons disappeared, but there's still more going on. And also, inside our play button, there's stuff going on. Inside the menu button, we also have some variables, namely we have our label text field. So we got to remove that one as well. That means we also need to instruct our menu button how to clean itself up. So let's create a cleanup function inside our menu button, which is gonna make that label, remove that label, and it's going to set that label to null. Alright, so now we've explained how it can remove how a button can clean itself. So now we got to instruct our buttons to do so. Now we need to communicate with our main class. We want our start menu to say, "Hey main class, the help button has been clicked and I'd like to see the help menu. So we need to communicate with our main class, and the easiest way to do so is to use events. And we are extending the sprite class, and the sprite class can dispatch events. So let's do that. We're going to dispatch an event. We're going to say it's a new event, and events are basically strings. It's just like as if a word, and we can use any string we'd want to. Most times you'd see something like this, that you have some special class containing all those strings. This is mouse event.click is just a constant. It's just something which is being communicated. We don't need to create our unique class to do so. We're just gonna do it like so, and we're gonna just call this event help click. That's fine. And let's do the same for our onPlay click, namely we're also going to dispatch an event then, which is a new event with the string play click. Alright, now our main class must be listening. It must know that could be an event which is named play click, or there could be an event named help click, and we need to add event listeners. So let's do that. So we got play click, and when that event happens, we would like to start the game. And also add an event listener, which will be listening for help click event, and we're going to call that handler show help menu, because that's what we're going to do. Alright, let's create those functions. So start game. Alright, now with the help menu, just to make sure that we're receiving these events, let's just do trace start and trace help. Good. We're receiving them. So that means we can do stuff. All right. So when the start game, or no, when the help button gets called, we'd want to create a new help menu. So we're gonna do that. We have right here our private var help menu, and we're gonna say to create a new one. So help menu is new help menu, and let's add that one. Alright, and now let's clean up our start menu. And that's going to be now very easy, because you just say start menu and you tell it to clean up. And this function is going to do a lot of stuff, because we say the start menu is going to clean up, and it's going to tell the buttons to clean up. So the buttons clean up, and they remove their labels, and they're set to null. After those buttons have been cleaned up, our our cleanup method from the start menu removes those buttons, sets them to null. So now here we've told our start menu to clean up. We're gonna remove that start menu, and we're gonna set the start menu to null. And you know what? Just to make it a bit more organized, we're gonna create a special function named start menu clean up, and just throw in all that code. And tell our show help menu function that it should also clean up the start menu. So that's going on. So now let's see what's gonna happen. So we start our document, we see our play. If we click there, yeah, that's good. We're seeing start, that's going well. If we click help, what should happen is it's going to remove that start menu. We're going to see our help menu. Boom, it worked. So that's great news. And now let's work on our help menu. So let's we can actually close that start menu class and menu button. We just need our help button, a help menu, and yeah, we had already done some stuff. Init back button. We added an event listener already. Let's still set the label of our back button and just call it back. All right, and when we got an on back click, we're gonna do the same as we did with our start menu. We're gonna dispatch an event. So dispatch event, and it's a new event. And let's, instead of back button, this is a bit too vague. Back to menu. Yeah, and let's also teach our help menu class how to clean itself up. So let's create a cleanup function. And we're going to tell our back button to clean up and to remove that button and to set that button to null. Okay, and now let's add another event listener to our help menu. So now help menu, what did we call it? Back to menu. We can just create a function and we're going to call it on back to menu click. Yeah, that's quite a long name. So let's create that function on back to menu click, which is an event handler, like so. Yeah, and we need to remove our help menu and create that start menu again. So let's do that. In its start menu, we're creating it, and we're gonna do help menu clean up, which is the same as our start menu cleanup. It's just a different object. So all right. So now let's see if everything's working. We got our play still working. We got our help. We're gonna click it. Okay, so you are that player. Avoid this and that. The louder you shout, the higher you fly. Now let's click the back button, and that's working. And let's do it again. Great, seems to be working. So the last thing we now still need to do is just create our or write the code which is going to be executed when you click on the play button. When we start our game, two things are going to happen. You're going to show a score display, and you're going to display the game, which is going to be very complicated. Not very complicated, but there's going to be quite some stuff going on. So we're going to do that in a next tutorial, but we can display that score display already. First, we need to add that score display. So create a new class and score display. It extends sprite. All right. And now let's look back at our Flash document, how did we make our score display? So we had these two static text fields and we had two dynamic text fields named score field and lives field. Alright, that sounds fine. So let's do that. Let's tell our score display class that we have those variables present. Um, public var score field, which is a text field, and also lives field. Alright, and yeah, we don't yet have that much going on in our score display because we don't yet, or at least you guys don't yet know how we're going to make that game class. And the only thing we can do now is when you have in our main that function start game, then the only thing we're going to do is add that score display. So let's create a variable for that. And tell our main class to clean up our start menu. Alright, so let's see now what's happening. Help, yeah, that's working. And if we click on play, then we get our score field. So this is working. Alright, this was the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you could follow it. And I already look forward to discussing the second part where we're going to create our game. And this is where it's going to get fun. You'll need to do quite some shouting just to test if it's working. Yeah, I look forward to working on it. And yeah, so talk to you soon, I guess. See ya.